The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to another episode of Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host. And today we're going to be talking to someone who's very important to us, someone who protects our freedom, and they offer everything that they have to make sure that we have our freedoms. And coming up soon is the 4th of July, and these are the people that make the 4th of July even that much more memorable, and we're really grateful to have them on, or him on. It's welcoming Sergeant Kelly from the United States Marine Corps.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we really do appreciate your service. We appreciate all our service people, and we're grateful that you sacrifice all to keep us free and protect our liberties.
Thank you.
So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Love the uniform. It looks great. We have a state representative. His name is Al Baldessaro, and he's a very proud Marine. And my son's in the Army.
Oh, really?
And he went up to him one day. He saw him somewhere, and he said, I looked really good in my Marine outfit, and he just, he's still Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Always.
So, yeah. So welcome to the show, and we appreciate your service. And so what's going on? How are things happening locally with the recruiting and the schools and everything like that? I know that they've been closed, and sometimes you folks can go in and talk to the students. So how's that working out?
So it's actually been a really busy year for us, especially with all the challenges that came up in the past year. Being able to adapt to the situations and being able to still get the information out to those students. So we kind of adapted to doing a lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of online calls,
right?
Being able to still host like career talks and everything like that through the behind the screen. So a lot of the schools have been very welcoming with us, and definitely made the process a lot.
So when you're talking to the careers, or you're talking generally to the seniors or juniors in college and high school?
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that we talk about is majority for the seniors. However, there is a lot of junior like NROTC talks that we do talk about. So that way they can apply for the scholarship going into their senior year.
What type of scholarships are there?
So right now, the NROTC scholarship is the one that a majority of them are going for and applying for. The due date for that is coming up. It's usually, I know it sounds far away, but November is when the time's due, but time's been flying, especially this year. So those are the ones coming up now, especially for a lot of individuals who want to do college after high school.
Right.
We also offer a split program for those individuals to do reservists and still be able to go to college at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because if somebody wants to go to college, maybe go into the service to maybe become an officer, go to, I don't know, is it OCS or something like that? And then go through, was it basic training or boot camp? I keep getting those confused.
So it's recruit training for us.
It's recruit training.
Yeah. So everyone kind of calls it something else, but for most of the time I call it recruit training. So yeah, the way the reservists work is, or at least for this program, the split program, they would, in between their first semester of college, so right after they graduate high school, they go to recruit training. And then after that, they attend college normally. They'll come back here. Or wherever their college is located. And then once their next break happens, they will go to their MOS school, finish that up or...
Instead of spring break, they go...
Mm-hmm. They go either to SOI or School of Infantry or MCT or Marine Combat Training, depending on what MOS they have or military occupational specialty. And then they come back here again and then once their next break comes, they go back to their MOS school. And then once they're done that, they come back here and they drill.
So what is an MOS school? What is that? What is MOS?
So your military occupational specialty. It's what career you choose in the Marine Corps. Me, for instance, I'm a 6156 or a MV-22 Osprey airframes mechanic.
Oh,
so
really?
I deal with the hydraulics, carbon fiber, metal. I call it the blood and the bones of the beast. So anything that can leak is me, and that's my job. So I spent close to 5 months in Pensacola, Florida, learning how the theory of hydraulics, how to repair metal. And then after that, I went to a different school to learn my platform.
So you have a good trade behind your belt already.
I do, yes.
Yeah. So you can transfer that to either any type of airport or anything to do with hydraulics, I would assume.
Yes, so it definitely comes in handy going into transitioning out of the military. And almost at every single Marine Corps base, we have opportunities to get your AMP license, your airframes and power plants license, to where I am licensed to work on any airport.
So when you enrolled, I mean, how many times do you have to go to across the seas or do I don't know how to ask this particular question. How many times do you have to say go to Germany or go to Afghanistan or Iraq or someplace like that?
So it really depends on the tempo of your unit and where you get stationed. I was fortunate to get stationed in North Carolina, so I still stayed on the East Coast.
Okay.
And the tempo for that was around once every year and a half. We would deploy for 6 months.
Deploy, thank you. That's
and then we would, I went to Spain and all over Europe and Italy and then a little bit of Romania. So.
And when you do that, I mean, it's obviously not just for a sightseeing. Obviously, you have activities there. What is the typical activity when you go to Spain or in a deployment? What do you do?
So for my specific job, it's a lot of the same stuff we do here, except we do joint service and inter-countries training. So that way, we're just getting connected through. Some of the local militaries there, trading secrets, like trades, like, hey, what's one technique that you use to fix certain things? And then they'll be like, oh, I'd use this technique. And then we'll kind of like cross-pollinate there and kind of be able to learn from each other. And definitely opens your perspective of like everything else that's going on.
So are you a career? You're going the full 20?
Oh yeah, I'm going to try to do full 20.
Yeah, excellent. So great. What made you get involved with the Marines in the first place? Why did you want to do this?
Well, I'm from Nashua, so I started off by just tinkering with things around the house. My dad would leave stuff out, and I would just take it apart, and then hopefully when I put it back together, all the parts would be there.
Yeah.
And then slowly, once I got into high school, I knew that I wanted to get into something hands-on. So I took all the CTE programs and the trades programs.
Did you go to North or South?
I went to South. And I actually had a teacher there, Mr. Osterman. I don't know if you're familiar with that name. He's the small engines mechanic over at Nashua South. He made me fall in love with mechanics, just the mechanical stuff. So I bought dirt bikes, started working on those. And then going into my senior year, I applied for the heavy diesel mechanic program at Alvern.
Yep.
So I took that, and the instructor over there was a Marine. So once I found out that he was a Marine and he knew that I was interested in the military, I just kind of talked to him about it for a year. And then after that, I knew, like, yeah, that's what I wanted to get into. And I had a kind of understanding on the small engines all the way up to diesel. So when the time came to pick my career, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to work on airplanes.
So did you go to college?
I have no college education.
No college, but you can work on jets.
Sure can.
That's so cool. And you'll have a trade when you get out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so how long did it take you to become a sergeant?
So I got promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2018. So roughly 5 years it took me to get promoted sergeant.
Right. It didn't take that long, did it? It doesn't seem to be a long time when you look back, I would assume.
No, it was a blink.
Yeah.
It was a blink.
Yeah. So how tough was is it Parris Island?
Parris Island if you're on the East Coast, MCRD San Diego if you're on the West Coast.
And so you went to Parris Island?
I went to Parris Island.
Yeah. And you survived.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's the funniest place you're not allowed to laugh at.
Oh, no, really? Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
So I hear. Yeah. So what are some of the other things that you want the public basically to know? Some of the high schoolers, if I'm finding that a lot of kids they don't know what they want. Even though they've applied to college, they really don't have a bead on where they want to go, what they want to be. Is this a place where they can discover that?
Absolutely. So the way that the Marine Corps has the communication with and being able to just have that talk is that's all we really look for is people who have a solid plan. And if they don't really know what they want to do, having a conversation with us, we help them discover what their long-term goals are.
Right.
And then we show them how the Marine Corps can help them achieve some of those goals. So as far as if it's college, if it's just having a sense of direction, or if it's something where they just want to be able to make their own decisions and kind of carve their own path and do something that's not the norm,
right,
then we're there to be able to kind of discover that.
So if some high school students want to look more, they want to engage, where's the office in Nashua?
So the office for myself is actually located in Amherst Street there, next to the Walmart. So it's in Amherst, New Hampshire,
yeah,
just a little bit past the community college. And there's a Marine there usually 24, or not 24/7, but usually until around 6 o'clock in the afternoon is when we take off.
So what's a typical intake? Somebody walks through the door, hey, I don't know what I want to do. Maybe I want to join the Army or the Air Force or the Marines, or obviously you want them into the Marines. I'm teasing. But as they walk into the door, what are typical questions that you're going to do? How are you going to address them?
So we welcome everyone with a smiling face, because a lot of times when they walk into the Marine Corps office, it's intimidating. Which
that's what I mean.
It comes with the territory, but we're definitely all really nice people. So we usually try to just welcome them into the office, kind of get to know who they are, what brought them in, kind of what their plans are, and then obviously after that there's some certain screening questions that come with it, just to make sure that they're basically qualified. And then once we know that they're medically qualified, we go ahead and put them on what we call the Enlisted screening test, and it's a test we use to see if they're going to be able to pass the ASVAB, or the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test.
And what is that like? How long does that take? A couple hours?
No, usually for the East, or what we call it, for the practice test, it usually takes roughly around 34 to 40 minutes. It is a timed test that we keep track of. It's the parts that we give them are mathematics, arithmetic, reasoning, paragraph comprehension, and word knowledge. So they're just 4 basic, just to see if you would be able to pass the ASVAB, because those are some of the hardest parts on the actual ASVAB.
And once they go through that, then how much time do they have to think about it before it goes forward?
So they can have all the time they need. Obviously, it's a big decision, and it's definitely one that could impact their lives dramatically on it with some of the applicants. So it's definitely something that we like to at least get the information out to them, and then usually they take around a week, or even sometimes it's that right there. But it depends on the individual.
So what are some of the common fears that they have? Generally, you walk in and, or misunderstandings that they might have about joining or about the Marines.
So one of the biggest misconceptions that I have seen since I've been here is just because they come in and talk to a Marine Corps recruiter, or any recruiter for that matter, that they're going to sign up right there and then.
Right. And so they have all the time in the world that they want.
Yes.
They can think it through, and of course they can ask all the questions that they want. It's not going to be like you're going to a car dealership and they're trying to high pressure sell you into something.
No. We try to make it as easy as a process as possible. And if one of the biggest concerns is, well, my mom and dad are going to have questions, we encourage them to bring them in, bring everyone in, so that way we can get every question asked. So that way they can really, weigh out their options. And even I like to use a T-chart to kind of see the pros and cons versus whatever their plan is, and how the Marine Corps can help them, or some of the downs, pluses. It depends on the applicant.
So when people come, do they worry about being deployed right away? Does that ever come up, or are they worried about the national situation?
As far as what their concerns are for being able to how soon are they going to go, there's a process that we use, so they can't go to even recruit training until they enter our delayed entry program, which is where we get them both physically and mentally prepared for boot camp. That's usually the biggest concern, is if they sign up now, they're going to go to Paris Island next week.
Right.
So that's when we step in and we're kind of like, well, hang on, that's not how this works. You still have to make sure that you can pass the physical requirements before we send you down there.
So it's a privilege, basically, to become a Marine.
Yes,
It's a
it's earned. It's not given.
right. So do you recruit the seniors or the juniors, or both?
Right now, seeing how most of the seniors have graduated and moved on to their next stages in their lives, we are reaching out to a lot of the juniors now, and that usually will continue on up until this time next year, and then we'll cycle on to the next wave of juniors.
So tell me a little bit about Spain and your tour in Europe. That must have been interesting.
It was, because it was my first time really leaving the country. The only place that I went to as a kid was Newfoundland, Canada, right there in the fall where it's really cold up there. So
Right.
being able to actually leave the country and get to see the world and see what else is out there was definitely exciting.
Eye-opening, I would assume.
Eye-opening for sure.
Yeah. What was your best place that you've gone to so far? Was it Spain or?
No, it was actually Sigonella, Italy. So I was on a Italian base and I spent close to 7 months there.
Really?
Yeah, with Mount Etna. So every morning when I was working on the flight line, I would look up and see a volcano with
That's
snow
been pretty
on it.
active lately, hasn't it?
It sure has, yeah. Yeah.
Thank God you're out of there now.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. It's definitely like cool to see like the smoke coming up out of it, and like just knowing that like, hey, that could. But
And the
we're
food
from-
was tremendous.
tremendous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cultural experience. Yeah. Someplace maybe you'd like to go back someday.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see any future travel in your plans anywhere else?
I would like to go back over there. I also would like to see Okinawa, Japan. You can get stationed over there in the Marine Corps. I haven't gotten to experience that yet, so that's the one place that I have left that I want to see.
So when you went to Paris Island, was it everything you thought it was, or was it harder?
No, you're never 100% ready for recruit training, and the second you get on those yellow footprints, you're kind of not really knowing what's going on, but it's definitely nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And your recruiters the entire time and people who are prior Marines kind of tell you and experience like, hey, this is what it's going to be like. Scream loud, run fast, and you'll be okay. And it's definitely true. And then the second you earn that Eagle, Globe, and Anchor after the Crucible,
You've earned it.
You've earned it, and everything that they've ever told you is 100% worth it.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you were 100% committed.
I remember we did interview a few Marines in the past, and I think one of the things that one of the gentlemen said was the fact that there was excellence and discipline, and sometimes some kids just don't have either, and that is a way to learn it, to earn it, and to prosper with it by getting involved, and it becomes a lifestyle, and apparently that's all true.
Yeah, 100%. So everyone comes from different aspects of life, different places, completely different communities. So coming to Paris Island and get them all to be a Marine and kind of act the same is definitely something that I've found a lot of like real pride in, because especially with sending a few individuals down to Paris Island and seeing them graduate and become Marines and knowing who they were before and then seeing them after, it's night and day where it's like, wow.
It's a way to grow up, you know? And if sometimes some kids just realize that they don't have any ambitions or they don't have a direction, they want it, they didn't know where to find it. This is a good place for them to get it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely a place for them to if they want a challenge, it's a place for them to get a challenge. But if they want to kind of build something of themselves, build their character, build their pride, build their courage and everything like that, it's definitely a place for them to be able to definitely mold themselves into something better than that they couldn't even imagine.
Right, definitely building blocks. I think, not everybody's cut out for college. And not everybody has a trade, and sometimes not everybody takes advantage of those CTE programs that are in the schools. But a trade can really treat you well, and if you can get a trade in the military, what other trades are there? I mean, obviously you're in hydraulics.
So there's over 350 different career opportunities that you can take, and out of those 350, 300 of them are not combat related. So they're not like infantry MOSs. So we have everything from combat engineer, which is like advanced carpenters that also blow things up. So that's like high speed. We also have avionics, so working with the electronics. We have motor transport mechanics, so fixing trucks and everything like that. We also have, I call them water dogs, but it's water purification specialists. So they deal with plumbing and a lot of stuff like that. So it really is endless as far as like the trade opportunities there.
That's actually, you call them water dogs, but I'll tell you, globally, water is an issue. Fresh water, clean water, I don't know if it's logistics with the water, but that's a really important issue. And more these days, from what I'm hearing, there's droughts everywhere. You're having floods. You're having major issues globally. Water is the big issue. So water dogs. Interesting. I never heard that. So that's interesting. Again, it's on Amherst Street. They can contact you. They can contact anybody there to enroll. What is the number if they want to call?
So if you want to call in the Nashua area, my number is 603-978-5978. They can also go onto the Marine Corps website and they can request information and just put in their basic information and a recruiter will contact them usually within 2 days.
So how do we get you guys to get a show here and sit on a regular basis to at least reach out because this is a wonderful opportunity. It's free, obviously, and it's a means to communicate to a host of people locally. We were talking a little bit before that you've seen the show in the past. Wouldn't it be nice if the Marines could have their own show here in Nashua, and you could show clips of things that what you're accomplishing locally, abroad, and how it does benefit our local community. And you know, we're really grateful for everybody who has served, obviously, but those who are signing up, you know, like you said, that's a long-term commitment. It's patriotic. It's a beautiful thing, and you guys provide that for us. We can't thank you enough. You know, honestly, we can't thank the local police and firefighters as well, but those who serve and risk their lives to preserve our freedoms. We're grateful, and we want to support you in any which way we can. So we want the Marines to come on this show and have their own show at some point. Maybe they are once a month or something like that to give us some updates. But I think it would be an extra service for the people locally so that they can know, you know, how they can reach out or what you know, not seeing you're out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah.
So we want to keep you in focus. So what are some last words that you like to share with our audience? Some pressing issues, if you will.
I wouldn't have any pressing issues. However, I would say that it's definitely daunting taking that first step. Definitely someone who's kind of on the fence, wants to do it, but is kind of like nervous. My biggest thing is always that first step's the hardest, but everything after that's easy. And just don't forget where you came from, because you get humbled real quick when it comes to you know, making that choice to transition into becoming a Marine.
Right. Well, Sergeant Kelly, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And if you have a junior or a senior, still even a senior, that they're considering a career path, maybe this would be one of them. Obviously, there are 350 occupations that the Marines can help you with, and talk to your local recruiter, because we really appreciate their service, and if somebody wants to step up to the plate, we honor you. So until next week, thanks for watching Gate City Chronicles.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.